What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with a video on my Red Paladin. We are going to do a solo shuffle commentary. I'm in a Ret, Double Rogue, Feral Druid, H-Pal, Discipline Priest lobby. Honestly, pretty neutral looking lobby right now. I don't think, I don't think H-Pal is the best thing for Ret to play with, but Ret against Rogues and Ferals is not too bad right now in solo shuffle. I was able to sank the opening kidney shot, and of course that guy flies my Hodge. Really unfortunate, pretty bad timing by my part, but that's okay. We survived the ultimate pen. I have a Shield of Vengeance out of that stun, so I'm going to go ahead and just train down the Feral Druid. I do think the Rogue is the better kill target, but it is a sub-rogue rather than an Assassination rogue, so maybe we just stick with the Feral here. Sub-rogue is absolutely slaying my rogue in the duel. He gets a trinket evasion cloak out of my rogue, so my rogue is in some trouble if they ever get cross where I can't get my healer out of the CC. My H-Pal gets a full rep and something breaks it. Hopefully it wasn't me. I get a full stun. The healer has no trinket. We tee off in a smoke bomb kidney shot on the Feral Druid right here, and maybe this is a kill. We get a gouge on the healer. We just don't have the damn to finish, and he gets a void swap and a survival instincts out of the Feral Druid right here. I'm just going to swap back onto the Rogue. The Rogue is, sub-rogue's really difficult to kill. Probably the hardest class in the game to kill right now. So not necessarily the best kill target. I'm going to go ahead and bubble kick the healer and then big swap onto the Feral Druid right here because I had all my damage, including a Hammer of Light proc and another Wake of Ashes into a second Hammer of Light. We get a double full Hodge on the healer here. A little unfortunate overlap. I don't have too much to save the Rogue because he's forbearance by my healer right here, but we both still have one more Blessing of Protection, so I'm not too scared. Feral Druid's in a lot of trouble. I have no freedom to get out of this, unfortunately. We do get a cheap shot onto this Rogue, so we're going to swap onto him, even though he had evasion, and then probably back onto the Feral Druid, and down he goes. Nice. Hammer of Light doing pretty good damn right there. 2.3 million crit. All right, I'm going to open up on the H-Pal right here and then swap onto the Feral Druid. I think I make a mistake in this particular lobby about attacking the Feral Druid more than the Assassination Rogue. It was actually kind of been a little bit since I watched this gameplay, so I don't quite remember. I get a sack on my Rogue here as he's getting low, and we also do overlap a single stack of Pain Suppression and Cloak of Shadows, so not the most ideal trade, but the Rogue kind of cloaked a little late. My healer gets kicked. I'm going to sank the Hodge off of him, though. And then I get Searing Glare, so I'm just going to toss a couple of Word of Glories with the Searing Glare on myself. I notice the healer is coming off of Stun DR, so I'm going to try and motion towards him. I don't have freedom quite yet. Probably try and use it out of this bomb here. I'm going to go ahead and Wake Hammer of Light, Hodge the healer. Get a lot of damage on the Feral Druid right here. This is kind of where I think I should have swapped the Rogue. The Rogue has no evasion. I actually, I guess I do swap the Rogue for a little bit, but I'm not primarily going Rogue, which I definitely should be right here. See the sack, so I swap back to the Rogue here. I think I'm just like scarred from that other sub-rogue just having infinite vanishes, but Assassination Rogue doesn't have Shadow Dance anymore, so they have to use their vanishes offensively. I don't have a sank for that. I'm sorry, I sack bop the Rogue, but I didn't have a sank for the healer right there. I trinket out into a full Hodge on the healer. Get juked on the clone. A little unfortunate. Gonna get a Hammer of Light out on the Feral Druid. It's very low. And he gets Blessing of Protection, and the Rogue has a Cloak of Shadows, unfortunately, so I can't do too much right here. I'm gonna go ahead and double freedom myself in the Rogue. Try and attack the Feral Druid for a little bit while he casts Clone in the bubble. The only thing that can really go through is Blade of Justice. All your other attacks are Holy Strike damage. I'm gonna go ahead and get a double blind on these guys. Unfortunately, my auto Consecration breaks it. The Rogue has, I believe he has nothing right here, which is where I made the mistake of not just turning and attacking the Rogue here, but honestly my Rogue is also going on the Feral Druid. So a little unfortunate, my Rogue goes down. We didn't quite have anything, but actually no, I lied, we had swap. Huh. Okay, I guess we had swap there, so we did have one more go to live. Alright, so against double Rogue as Ret Feral, I feel like you're pretty you're pretty good to go, at least in solo shuffle. Like, uncoordinated rogues are always going to really kind of DR themselves, and I mean, unless you're at the very top of the bracket, which I'm sure that a lot of rogues maybe could figure it out in solo shuffle, but in general, like Ret Feral into double rogue, it's just going to take a little bit of time to kill them here. We do have a lot more damage overall, although it doesn't really feel like it right now because my Feral is doing nothing but sit bear form. We get an ultimate pen and a sack, and somehow it doesn't end up topping the Feral Druid, so I'm just going to continue to send my damage. We get a evasion out of the way. I full stun the healer, swap to the other rogue here. I still have my Hammer of Light, and I think I made the mistake of thinking I used it, because there's a weird bug with Hammer of Light right now where if you use it into an evasion, it will like not go off, whereas in the previous patch before the buffs, it would go off, but it would miss, and then you would just hit shake the heavens. So I have to pay that a little bit more attention. Just gonna continue trying to tee off on the rogue right here. He gets bopped. I stun the healer, and this other rogue is really overextended, so I'm trying to go him. Unfortunately, he Cloak of Shadows, but fortunately for me, I held my Hammer of Light, so this time I actually get it off. Sending a lot of damage right here. I'm gonna sank my healer out into some big final verdicts on the rogue. I don't have any CC for the healer. I'm looking to see if my Feral can maybe set up a clone, but I don't know if he's cloning much this game because he is getting trained. Repentance is coming out, a little unfortunate. I do have both my walls here, so I'm going to double wall high, and looks like we're okay because one of the rogues decided to not attack here. There is Shadow Blades right there. Still don't have any CC to stop, but I am training down the Assassination rogue, who, quite honestly, I don't know if he has cooldowns back, but we get Blessing of Protection out of the way. Shadow Blaze is fading on the rogue, and that's actually a good sign because now he can't just like shadowy duel, even though it's on cooldown for a little while longer. He can't like shadowy duel plus blades, although actually maybe if those vanishes are his, then maybe he could, and he gets, he vanishes and gets the cooldown back. I honestly don't know. It's so hard to track sub-rogue cooldowns because they have CDR on them, but right here I recognize that this HPAL has very little, so we're just gonna try to train him down here. He has no bubble and no bops, so he's basically a free kill. I offensively bop my Feral Druid, and then he bear forms and runs back to the Shadow Priest with them having no way of removing it, so he definitely could have just continued to attack. All right, this round we're against Sub-Feral. This is probably one of my hardest rounds right here, I think, because Sub-Rogue is pretty tanky, and so is Feral Druid. But at least we're with an Asa Rogue, so we have a decent Mortal Strike and some spread pressure if required. My healer gets a very nice dome into a ultimate pen on the opener, so we're feeling pretty safe. Didn't have to commit anything too big yet. I blind the clone on my way over because I was not going to be in range to kick, and fortunately we were able to stop that. My rogue blinded the healer into a sap, and I just get a full stun on the rogue to see if I can get his trinket, and sure enough we do, because there's such distance between himself and the healer who was recovering from a sap in the back room. I don't have sank for my healer's cheap shot, so I'm just going to swap onto the Feral Druid and then back onto the rogue with sack. I'm going to come over and focus kick the Repentance right here and go back onto the rogue. We'll get a full kidney shot on the rogue. I have decent damage coming in. I did get Searing Glare on my Divine Toll. Unfortunately, was not paying attention to that, but we're pretty ahead in terms of cooldowns right here. I'm going to trinket out into a big Hammer of Light on the Pally. Hopefully get his bubble right there. We did. He bubbles off my Final Reckoning. I don't want to offensively bubble right here, even though it's kind of tempting to, because we're just not sure how long this game's going to go for. I swap back to the rogue here. He does have his... Actually, he has nothing right here, so maybe rogue could have been a good kill target, but with the shadow steps and CDR, I don't know. I feel like Feral is a little bit more reliable to kill. Yeah, he had evasion back. Real tough to track. All right, so back onto probably killing the Feral Druid right here. Really big dam. We get Survival Instincts and a Blessing of Protection overlap. Unfortunate for them, fortunate for us. I'm going to hodge the Palace, swap to him with my Hammer of Light proc and some big Final Verdicts here. Trying to kill the H-Pal. He bops himself. So many bops. And this rogue is in trouble here. Should be able to take the Feral Druid out. Should be able to take any of them out. They're all very, very low. Big Hammer of Light on the Pharaoh here, and down he goes. Nice. All right, next game here, Double Rogue, Disc Priest. I feel pretty confident in this lobby. The only thing is I do feel like the Disc Priest is doing better in general. Kind of feels like, you know, Mass Dispel into double Paladin is a little suspicious, so I have to watch for that. We're just going to set up our go onto the Rake Stunned Rogue right here, and then blind the healer, hopefully without removing the damage over time effects from my partner. And then we full stun the Disc Priest, and he trinkets out. Got a Pain Suppression. I'm just going to swap to the Rogue with no Pain Suppression. I'm going to sank my healer out of the Cheap Shot. And then I'm going to Trinket Double Wall myself out of the Smoke Bomb. Walking over to this Rogue, I get feared, unfortunately. And my healer is able to just bubble right here, which maybe not ideal. But we should be able to recover. He still has 2 Blessing of Protections. I have 1 Blessing of Protection, so if he needs to use one on himself and one on an ally, I have a backup for whoever. He trinkets out right here, and they honestly probably have the right idea trying to train him down since he has no bubble and they do have an MD. And just Discipline Priest damage in general. But I'm going to do my best to just continue to pump damage right here. Interestingly enough, the Sub-Rogue is out-damaging both the Feral Druid and the Acid Rogue. I feel like that's not super common for this stage of the game. We're going to tee off with a Big Hammer of Light here, get a Cheat Death, and then swap onto maybe the Disc Priest momentarily. I have a Hodge off DR. He's off DR here, so I stun him, and then we're going to swap back to the Rogues. We get a Cloak out of one of the Rogues. I don't have a Sank for that Kidney Shot in the healer, and down that Rogue goes. We get that damage in the Feral, so cool. All right. Last round here, we have myself and the Sub-Rogue against a Asa Feral. I know I said last lobby was probably the most difficult, but I lied. I think it's probably this setup, because I feel like, and to me, if you just cleave all the targets with an H-Pal and a Rep Pal, where we have 4 Barons, it's probably a little difficult to manage for my H-Pal. We're about to get Ultimate Pen right here, so I double wall sack my Rogue, and I'm going to spend a little bit of Holy Power trying to recover, I think. Maybe not, maybe not. Looks like we're doing okay here. He hasn't pushed sack yet either, so I'm feeling pretty safe at the moment. I have my damage back in like 3 seconds as well. I think I've decided to just hit the Rogue as much as I can. Get a full stun on the healer. I bait out his fade, and then he actually melds my blind, but then I stun him. So a lot of 5D chess going on right there. I'm going to swap to this Rogue with a Hammer of Light inside a Kidney Shot, and unfortunately the grip comes out right as the Smoke Bomb does. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure we would have at least got that Rogue's Trinket, if not a kill, if he was a little bit slow. So we're gonna stay on the Rogue for a little bit here. Asa Rogue does die. I think this is the game that I was like, why am I attacking the Feral when I can just attack the Asa Rogue? This time, I get super juked by this guy, and he does unfortunately get my bait out my Hodge. We get a full gouge on the healer, a full kidney on the Rogue. I have a lot of damage coming in right here. Big Wake, big Hammer of Light, and the Rogue should go down. All right, so this game was a nice little quick 5-1. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm feeling pretty good about Templar right now, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.